Welcome back, folks. I'm Frizz, and today I'd like to take the time to talk about Pathfinder's system of degrees of success. For those of you who don't know, Pathfinder 2e doesn't have a binary system of success or failure for every roll that every single character makes. Instead, whenever you beat a DC, you succeed, and if you beat the DC by 10 or more, then that is a critical success. If you don't beat the DC, that's a failure, and if you fail by 10 or more, then that is a critical failure. Additionally, rolling a natural 20 increases the degree of success by 1, and rolling a natural 1 decreases the degree of success by 1. It's overall a very, very core aspect of 2e, and it is legitimately amazing. Having a simple system like this in place simplifies so much about the game as a whole. Due to it being a blanket rule covering the entire system, literally everything is designed with this in mind. As an example, climbing is made so much easier when compared to Pathfinder 1e. You only fall if you critically fail on your athletics checks to climb, and if you critically succeed, then you just climb a bit further. Nice and simple. In Pathfinder 1e, you fell if you failed by 5 or more, and if you wanted to voluntarily before you rolled, you could take a -5 penalty to climb at double the speed. I can't talk for everyone who's watching this, but using a standardized system that you only have to learn once rather than learning a bunch of different rules for every single time you roll a d20 seems like a pretty good decision to me. Standardized systems are actually good so long as the systems are on their own good. Another important impact of the system on 2e is how Paizo has so much more flexibility in their game design now that there are more than 2 options. For example, in Pathfinder 1e or D&D 5e, spells only have 2 real cases. Either they succeeded in hitting the target, or the target failed their save, or they didn't do anything because you either missed or the target passed their save. Now, basically every single spell in the game has 4 separate cases. Either you critically succeed by, critically hitting them with the spell, or you just get a success or a failure or a critical failure, or they get all of those on their saving throws. This allows for much more interesting spell design. And while it might be unlikely for a creature that is significantly higher level than you to critically fail against a save or suck spell that you cast, at least there are effects for when people succeed now. It kind of sucked in Pathfinder 1e if you cast a high level spell and then the enemy just happened to roll well on their saving throw, meaning that effectively nothing happened. Now in Pathfinder 2e, unless someone critically succeeds, they're always going to be affected by at least something. I would much rather spells like Feeble Mind have a wide range of possible effects, rather than just straight up removing someone from the combat or doing literally nothing. And while we're actually talking about spells, basic saving throws are a very, very good idea that make blast spells so much more interesting. Giving anyone a chance to get 0 damage from a fireball gives at least everyone a little bit of a sliver of hope that they won't get fried, while still giving rogues a whole cake of hope just like Pathfinder 1e. And the fear of critically failing a saving throw to take double the damage is absolutely terrifying. It means that, if I have to make a basic will save against an effect as a class that doesn't have good will saves, I'm legitimately scared of that spell now. And I know it's just damage, but it adds a lot more interest and, game mechanics to what is otherwise a pretty straightforward type of spell. Ultimately, this just makes damaging spells or effects that don't target your good saves much scarier now, and that's a lot of fun. It is interesting to try and pick the spells that you cast depending on the enemies that you're fighting. So will saves against giants, and don't do reflex saves against Fae. It's also a major reason why spellcasters can absolutely destroy large amounts of low-level creatures now. Nothing feels quite as good as dealing over 400 damage with a correctly placed 4th level spell due to some lovely critical failures. Now, if you've played a bit of Pathfinder 2e, you might have seen that some of the effects that you get hit with for critically failing a spell can get intense, like getting plane shifted away or just instantly dying, or being paralyzed for a few rounds. This is where the incapacitation trait comes in, which more or less removes a lot of the common ways that people just had to throw out character sheets because they rolled below a 10. Spells or effects that take people out of the fight or just kill them instantly now often have the incapacitation trait, meaning that if the target is a higher level than the spell or effect targeting them, they get a 1 degree of success better on the saving throw. So if they got a failure, that is turned into a success. This means that if you cast a 6th level Feeble Mind on someone who is level 12, it works just as intended. But if someone is 13th level or higher, then they literally can't get a critical failure. Well, it does feel pretty bad to not be able to use low-level spells to completely dominate high-level enemies anymore, like in Pathfinder 1e. It is pretty nice that a simple charm spell isn't just the best way to get around all social encounters now. And besides, it's very, very nice when incapacitation works in the PC's favor. All in all, I guess that the main reason why I like Pathfinder 2's way of handling critical successes and failures is because it's simple and wide-reaching. It's really just effective game design. Plus, it shows that even if you critically fail on an attack roll, that doesn't mean that you slip and fall prone like it's a slapstick comedy, despite how you're a trained combatant. Critical fumbles can be problematic for immersion, and I just don't know what there is to dislike about this system. It's great, it works very well with the way that Pathfinder 2e has bounded the numbers to make sure that there's always about the same chance of critically succeeding or failing, and it really shows off how investing into a particular part of your character, whether that be attack rolls or skills or spells, can really show off how effective you can be. Thanks for watching. I honestly don't know how I haven't talked about this system yet. It's a core part of 2e, and it's also just very, very good. How do you feel about the system as a whole, though? Do you think that it's better than having to confirm 3 critical hits in 1 turn in Pathfinder 1e because someone's using a keen scimitar? I personally think so. And it is so much better than critical fumble decks. I might have a personal grudge with those. Regardless, let me know how you feel down below. And until I see you next, live a wonderful life.